what did the assassination of Patrice Lumumba mean? And in what cause did it set the DRC? Because he was one of those true African leaders who really wanted what's best for their people. And he believed that for that to be possible, the DRC had to have total control of its resources. And I think partly we can all agree that, well, that's one of the reasons that, they assassinated him.
But Patrice Lumumba did not come out of thin air, right? He came out of a process. His name was not Patrice Lumumba. He became Patrice Lumumba. But Patrice Lumumba, as a political leader, had period of growth. Before going to Ghana, he believed that the way forward was for us to have control of DRC as a almost in a Commonwealth way, where there is a governor and a prime minister and still in full control of Belgium. He spoke a lot about equality and fraternity, right? He used those type of values in his writings, even when you look at his early writings, that he was more of a kumbaya guy. Like, oh, please give us some room to be able to go downtown. So he was striving for the bourgeoisie at the time, the elite, the Congolese elite, to be able to have more room within Congo. And I mentioned it, right? Elite. Lumumba came from an elite space. He had the civilized card, right? It was not given to anybody to get that quote-unquote civilized card, right? The civilized card, no? Carte des évolués, as they called it, was a card that if you had, allowed you to be downtown. You couldn't go downtown without a card. It was like an apartheid regime, pretty much, in the DRC. So a few token Congolese who had access to education or were part of a social class had that. Right? But then, Kwame Nkrumah, as he became head of state in Ghana, was part of a Pan-Africanist plan. Right? And it's the plan of the 5th Pan-African Congress that took place in Manchester. The 5th Pan-African Congress in Manchester called in its resolution, as a matter of tactic, that the #1 objective will be independence now, that they need to mobilize from 1945 until to make sure that African countries were independent. Then Kwame Nkrumah became the head of state in Ghana. So in 1957. So he had control of state resources. And in the strategy was, as you gain control of the state, you also have to support movements. So movements were invited to Ghana in 1958 at the All African People's Conference, the first one. So while people were coming, Kwame Nkrumah knew why Congo was very important. And he made it a mission that we could not have the All African People's Conference without the Congo. So as Kenyans were flying into DRC to go to Accra, because Kinshasa was the hub for flight, they would stop in Kinshasa to fly to East Africa. The delegation that came, that stopped in Kinshasa, were given the mission to go around Kinshasa and find progressives who could be invited. As they connected with people in the city, they met Patrice Lumumba. They invited him to the conference, and he said, I'm not going to go alone. I'm going to go with some of my comrades. So he invited Joseph Ngalula and Gaston Diomi. So 3 Congolese took part at the All African People's Conference in Accra in 1958. When they participated in that conference, and when you even read the speech, you can see there was a shift. And as you study more of what unfolded, is that the Congolese delegation, they were presented with a true reality of why Congo needed to be free for Africa to be free. They knew that Congo's river can provide electricity to the entire African continent. And imagine having that in the hands of Africa. We're talking about 1958. They already knew that. So they gave them a mandate. Go home, organize and mobilize, make sure that Congo is independent so that it helps in the transformation of Africa. And they gave them material support and financial support and then intellectual support. Actually, the Bureau of Languages was responsible for writing many of the speeches of African leaders, including the people in the DRC. And at the time also, another Pan-Africanist, André Blois, she was from Central African Republic, was sent to DRC to work with Patrice Lumumba. Other people who came that most people don't know are the Mau Mau. Because in May 1960, there was the political campaign of the MNC of Patrice Lumumba and other political parties for us to vote for who's going to be the president of the country. The people who went on the ground to mobilize in villages beyond the Congolese, we had the Mau Mau. The Mau Mau went to the Kasai. They were showing a movie, and the movie was called Liberté. It was an African movie that was used for political education. Why am I saying all of this? Now, I mentioned Central African Republic. I mentioned Kenyans. I mentioned Ghanaians, right? It's for us to be clear. Congo did not become independent because of Patrice Lumumba alone. Congo became independent because of Pan-Africanism. And if it wasn't for Pan-Africanism, we wouldn't be where we are, because it was a Pan-African affair. We had people from Kenya, we had people from Central African Republic, we had people from Algeria, Serge Michel, who was an advisor to Patrice Lumumba, right? So when they won the election and he created his cabinet, an Algerian was a member of Patrice Lumumba's cabinet. A Central African was. So in 1960, they were clear about what Pan-Africanism was. That if we control the state, it's not just a question of Congolese becoming there. So Patrice Lumumba comes out of a process, and that process is called Pan-Africanism. And that process was successful on making sure that he controlled the state. Now, he himself, in his ideals, in his writings, in what he wanted for the Congo, he said it very clear. Even when you read his Independence Day speech, the first line tells you that he understands what I'm saying today. He wanted me to know that we did not become independent alone. The first sentence of the Independence Day speech is, combattants de l'indépendance, aujourd'hui victorieux, je vous salue. Fighters for independence, today victorious, I salute you. Did he say Congolese fighters? No. He says fighters for independence. Who were they? Africans who made sure to see that we became independent. And he used that speech to lift up the story of Africans, to lift up the story of struggle of the Congolese. And at the end of the speech, what does he say? Viva Congo, viva Africa. When we hear our leaders today at the African Union do their speech, do they say viva the country, viva Africa? They don't say viva Africa anymore because they don't see Africa as a one unit body that we have to develop. So Lumumba made sure that Congolese people knew what it meant when we say in Lingala, Likambo ya Mabele, the question of the land. The land is life for us. The land is everything. If you lose land, you lose who you are. The land provides for you. The land is connected to your culture, to everything. That he said that the resources of the Congo, before benefiting anyone else, should benefit the Congolese people so that their lives get better, so they can benefit from this wealth. And the US did not like it. Within weeks, he was deposed. Within months, he was assassinated with the help of Congolese, of Belgians, and the CIA, right? And the people who killed him are also part of an elite class. That's why it's very important to separate the working class of the people who protested when he was assassinated and when he disappeared, and those who were in cahoots with the Belgians, because they saw self-interest. So Patrice Lumumba, even though he was killed in a horrific way, right, where they shot him and two of his comrades, two ministers, cut him into pieces, put his body in acid. And a couple of years ago, actually a year ago, Belgium sent us his tooth back. And we're supposed to be happy that Lumumba's tooth is back. When they told us we killed Lumumba, right? The Belgians have not taken full responsibility for the assassination of Lumumba. They provide apology, right? And then mysteriously, when you look at the pictures, you always see Congolese, right? You see Mobutu, you see Congolese soldiers hitting Lumumba. But how did his tooth end up in Belgium? That's what, no one want to discuss that part around justice. But even though he was killed in this grotesque way, Lumumba's ideals continue to live in us, not just the Congolese, but the African people. What he said, Africa will write its own history. It's not gonna be the history written in Belgium, Paris, Paris, Brussels, or New York, or Washington. It's gonna be the story written by Africans. When you're asking us, or asking me, and that's why I say us, because I don't see me as an individual. There are people who are helping me to be where we are. So what we do as a collective, even though I may be the face of the movement, is that we are telling the African stories, even if it's uncomfortable. Because Lumumba told us to do that. Because if you don't know your history, you are doomed to repeat it. This is also why earlier I said, if we understand how to solve the conflict in the Congo, we will solve any African conflict. So Lumumba, till today, represents a lot for us. And he prophesied decades ago that Congolese will never be alone. There will be people from Asia to Africa, to people who love humanity, free and liberated people. That these people will always be at the side of the Congolese until every single neo-colonial agent is out of our land.